You are welcome to another episode of Experience Annie Wines Live, our rendition every Monday of what's on my mind and how do I make the world a better place. This week, we're going to be talking about why it's cruel to be kind, based on some principles Jordan Peterson teaches in his 12 rules for life, and how language will play a factor in that world. All right. Moment of gratitude. My moment of gratitude goes towards the other hustlers and grinders, the people that work in this space. Every day I'm on Facebook and LinkedIn and reaching out to people in this world, and I find other things that people post and put up that inspire me, give me nuggets every day. Macy Estrada, she's a former WWE wrestler. She went by Lacey back then. Her and her husband, they post stuff regularly, daily, about what it means to be a man and a woman in a relationship. What does it mean to run a business together? What does it mean to build the life that you want? And so I think of them. I was looking at a post they had a little bit before the show here and thought, I met Macy years ago. We did a TV show together. Never met her husband, and yet him and I have talked online because we continue to push ourselves and we see the world in a similar way. And so whether it's them or all the other people that share memes on Facebook, they really do matter. They put me in a good place when I'm scrolling the internet. I know I'm going to scroll, and I'd rather dead scroll and see positive stuff than see the negative stuff, the political stuff, the stuff that's rooted in a bias that normally puts me in a negative spot. So I appreciate all the people that continue to pass positivity and momentum every day. And that's why one of the reasons why I post pretty frequently on Facebook, and one of the reasons why I do this show. I want to take the world for the way I see it and spin it in a positive way. And one of the ways I do that, my ask this week, and one of the ways I do that is by going out and doing speaking engagements and workshops and anything gets me in front of people, sharing my ideals with the world. On Friday of this week, I'm going to a middle school and I'm teaching interview techniques to 7th and 8th graders and talking to them as an employer, what we look for in potential employees, while these 7th and 8th, 12, 13, 14-year-old students are potentially going to get their first job this summer. And I look at that as a great opportunity. It's a way for me to give back to my community and doing it in a way that I share my ideals with the world. This isn't always this grand 500 people in the room or big workshop, 4 hours of me teaching people all the words. Sometimes doing 15, 20 minutes with a small group of students and teaching them how to interview better really fuels me, fills up my soul. Simon Sinek talks about every day do something for somebody else without any expectation of receiving anything back. And that will make you a happy, healthy, successful person. So I do that every day. And I go out of my way to seek opportunities to find more people that I can impact in any way, shape, and form. Anything I can take lessons learned in my 40 years in life and give it to the rest of the world makes me feel good about myself. All right. Actually, speaking of memes, a meme I put up today, I'll start with this, right? Your time on earth is limited. Don't try to age with grace. Age with mischief, audacity, and a great story to tell. I put that up today. And I thought, okay, do I live that way? Mischief, audacity, and a great story to tell. And I do. And I'm excited about that. I'm excited that other people are that way. And let's get into today's topic. To be kind is to be cruel, right? This is something that I learned in my Visage roundtable. It's a group of CEOs that we sit in a roundtable once a month. And I learned then that when you are overly kind, it is cruel. When you withhold information, it's cruel. When you treat people with kids' gloves, it's cruel. I talked maybe a month or two ago about it's pathetic, not empathetic, when you don't challenge people that clearly are looking for someone to challenge them. This weekend, I have another creator we've been corresponding back and forth, and I said things that I knew she didn't like. She asked a question that she knew the answer I was going to give her, and she didn't like it, and I was honest. And there was a hesitation. There was a pause in the text back and forth. And then she came back. She goes, hey, I really do appreciate you challenging me. You're right. I did say that. And going this direction doesn't get me where I want to be. I saw that. And the other thing that I saw this weekend, Jordan Peterson, I watch a lot of his stuff. And Jordan Peterson was doing an interview recently. And he was talking about his 12 rules for life. And I subscribe to him. I love his 12 rules for life. They hit. One of the rules, be precise in your speech, is a rule that I built my book around. Words fucking matter. I say it one way, he says it the other. And either way, it's be very particular about the words you put out in the world, the words you tell yourself, the words you write down and see yourself, because what you say will manifest into your reality. And so I've always looked at the 12 rules as, that's the one that I'm most similar to. And then I heard of him talk over the weekend, and one thing he said is, of the 12 rules in all of his research, rule number 8, tell the truth, or at the very least, do not lie. He said that is the hardest rule of all the rules that he has put out. And he talked about it because people want to be kind. People don't want to face the reality. They don't want to put the reality on other people. They'll avoid those uncomfortable conversations. They'll avoid conflict now to enjoy the peace now. But in reality, what you're doing is you're delaying the inevitable conflict. And often that conflict is going to come whether you like it or not. And it reminds me of the analogy of the bison or the cattle. In the analogy of the bison and the cattle, you have two choices. When there's a storm coming, right? Storm's coming from the west. The cattle will run to the east. They will run from the storm because they see it coming. And what ends up happening is by the time the storm catches the cattle, they're tired, they're defeated, they're weak because they've been running looking backwards the whole time. They've been running away from it the whole time. By the time the storm catches them, they're defeated and they sit in the storm longer because now they're trying to outrun the storm. And so they're weak and they're defeated and they don't even know it because they're delaying the inevitable. The inverse, the bison see the storm coming and they charge the storm. They know they cannot beat the storm. They will not outrun the storm. They will not come up with this, if I go harder, the storm will dissipate. No, what they say is the faster we go into the storm, we are taking control. We're going to hit the storm head on. We're going to hit the storm when we're fully rested and nourished and ready to go. We're going to go be proactive. And what ends up happening is they survive the storm and they thrive within the storm because they're in the storm for a lot less. Because as the storm is coming from the west, they're coming from the east and they're in it for a shorter period of time. And they hit the storm when they have the most amount of veracity and intensity and intentionality. And it's no different than the way we live our lives and our words. I, too, am guilty of this. I had an employee here at my business for 6 months I knew was no good. I delayed the storm and delayed it. I could see it coming. I kept lying to myself and others. No, he'll get it. He'll pick up. Nope, it's just this one thing. One thing was 2 and 2 things was 10. And when I finally faced the reality, I was defeated and it felt like I had no other choice. In reality, 6 months prior, I had the choice. I chose not to make the choice. I chose to delay the inevitable. I chose to live in that bullshit for long. And what ended up happening was once I made that choice, other people left too. They left with him because they weren't good for our organization in the first place. They were toxic and I knew it. And when I finally made that choice, our company has now flourished. I look at those 6 months and say, man, look at all the time I wasted thinking I could outrun this storm. When I come on the show every week, I talk about my ideals, and my ideals are often rooted in choices I made that did not work out. They're often rooted in failures that I've had. They're often rooted in things that are no longer or in that have not been strengths in my life. They're in places that I want to be better in the future. Right? I've had people come up to me before and say, oh, Andy, you got it all figured out and you wrote this book and you just think you walk on water. No, I am fallible. I fail every day. It's what I do. It's one of the reasons why I come on this show. Me coming on for 15 minutes once a week, coming up with a new topic every week, sitting here with the camera, no audience. It's me. I'm in a room all by myself talking to nobody. That to me is facing the storm. I'm taking my ideas and I'm putting them out there. And I'm speaking what I see in the world. I'm speaking the truth, my reality. And I know in my life, when I do that, I'm better for it. There's a Chinese proverb. It's better to sit quietly and be thought a fool than to raise your mouth or raise your voice and be found out to be the fool. And I look at that as, no, that's bullshit. It's better to face the reality. It's better to raise your hand and say, hey, I do not know the answer to that thing, right? I'm going to ask a question. What do you mean by that? So now you're a fool for a second and you're educated for the rest of your life. When I've done that in my life, I have prospered. When I've gone out of my way, faced whatever the reality was, faced the truth of the moment, I've been better off in the future. I think about the golden rule, right? Treat others the way that you want to be treated. That's bullshit. Some people want to avoid the truth. They want to avoid challenge. They want to live in their comfort zone, in their comfort place, right? And there's the platinum rule. Treat people the way they want to be treated. And that's okay. It's better the way they want to be treated, but some people want to be treated with kid gloves. Treat people in the manner in which you perceive they need to be treated. because you're coming from a perspective that they do not share. You're coming from a perspective of this is what you need. I can see, I'm going to ask the right questions and I'm going to give you what you need. I tell people all the time, when Andy Wines walks in the room, I'm going to give you what you need. It ain't maybe what you want. I'm going to give you what you need. I'm going to have a real conversation with you. For the longest time, this adage of, if you got nothing nice to say, don't say anything at all. I struggle there because I've already changed it, right? I got nothing nice to say, don't say anything at all. Bullshit. It's cruel to be kind, as I said from the top. It's cruel to be nice when what is needed is necessary for growth. And so instead I say, if I have nothing productive to say, do not say anything at all. Because when I'm talking about productive, I can focus on the present. What information do we have? What's in the present? And how can we impact the future? Often people will talk about the past and they'll live in the past and they'll do niceties in the past, right? Someone will do something that is unacceptable now and they'll say they've been a really loyal friend. Oh, that's my kin. That's my brother. That's my sister. They did something that's outside of your boundaries today. It is cruel to them and to you to sit there and not say a fucking thing. I can look at my situation where I hired somebody. I gave him the title. Oh, I gave him the money. Oh, I trained him. Or I can look at the reality today and say, yeah, he failed at his job. I'm compensating for him for a job he's not doing. And then once I looked at that, that's what it came down to. I had a member of my CEO roundtable look at me. He goes, this man is stealing from you. You are paying him and he is stealing from you because you're in agreement that this work would be done at this rate. And this man is taking the rate without doing the work, right? The only place in the world where the word reward comes before work is in the dictionary. This man has taken the reward and he's not putting in the work. That was my reality. And I did not want to face it because now I have to first admit I made the wrong hire. I have to start all over with that position. I have to stop doing the things that I really enjoy doing and roll up my sleeves and get back into my company to right the ship so that the company is productive and makes money and has a profit and all these things that are needed in a company. And I failed at that because I ran away from the storm because I didn't face my reality. I wanted to be kind. I wanted to give extra chances. And all it did is get me all worked up and frustrated. And once I made that choice, my life grew significantly better. Because once I made that choice, I realized, hold on, there's other people that are doing the same thing. If I can slay this dragon, the fucking iguanas of the world will go away. Over the last 120 days or so, when I really have stood up for myself, I stood up for my ideals, I reasserted who the fuck I am, my life has gotten a lot better and has not been without challenge. I'm going through a tough period right now of depression and frustration. I barely left my house this weekend because I was not where I needed to be mentally. And you know what? That was my truth. Not even that was my truth. That was the truth. I was in no place this weekend to go face the world and be chipper and be in a good place. You know what? I kept my happy ass at home and I worked on myself because that's the truth. Sometimes you make one good decision for yourself and it leads to other things that you need to face. When you face the reality rooted in truth, when you are honest with yourself and those around you, you will face conflict now, which will give you an everlasting peace versus going for the short-term peace today to avoid the conflict till tomorrow. And that's not living, that's surviving. I'm not in this world to survive. I'm in this world to thrive. So my challenge to you is simple. What do you need to tell yourself today to go out and slay that dragon tomorrow? Whose reality do you need to improve by giving them the necessary information from your perspective that allows them to move forward? When you look at your life, what is that BHAG? What are your short-term goals? What are you doing? What are you telling yourself each and every day to go out and slay those dragons? This week and always, I'm going to tell you to do the same things as always because it's that simple. When I follow this 3-step plan, I live the life I want to live, and I will challenge you, you will do the same. Do the fucking thing. Tell the fucking world. Show the fuck up. And we'll see you next week.